Everybody, today we're going to talk about those last minute things or last week things that are important to do before you take off on your vacation. Now this list can be very broad, it can be very condensed down, but today we're going to talk about what I feel are the most important tips to make sure you take care of about a week or a little bit less before you leave on your trip. So first thing on that list is to make sure that you tell your bank that you're about to take off on a vacation. This is specific to international travel, just to be sure that when you are about to pay for something like your dinner or go out on a really cool excursion, buy a train ticket, whatever it may be, it's pretty embarrassing for your card not to work anymore. And then you're stuck there wondering how you're going to pay for your meal or whatever it may be. So please make sure you tell your bank ahead of time to avoid any of those extra stresses that may become if you don't. That can eventually lead to then you having to make a call internationally to your bank and saying, hey, can we please get this taken care of? We made a mistake. That's just not a stress anyone wants when they're on vacation. Another big thing to do is make sure you have confirmation with any hotels you may be going to. There's going to be certain times where those hotels are going to require you to let them know in advance. Sometimes it's 24 hours, sometimes it's 48 hours, but please make sure you alert them when you get there and make sure that is all taken care of. Along with that, make sure you print off your reservation to that hotel to avoid any sort of frustrations or confusion when you get to the front desk. Another big one would be to make sure you clean your house before you leave. Now this seems a bit mundane, sometimes it's not the most exciting thing to do, but it ends up being a pretty important one. A reason behind that is you don't want to come home to a dirty house. You just got tired from vacation, from traveling, you just had a flight from somewhere, and now you come home to a dirty house. To be quite honest with you, I'm not the one that wants to go do the laundry. I don't want to come home and see that the floor is a mess, I've got boxes everywhere, whatever it may be. Make sure you clean up, you'll be happy in the long run. Another side to making sure your house is taken care of is if you have any pets, animals, make sure that they're going to be taken care of while you are gone. Whether that be someone coming over to check every few hours, make sure they're doing okay. Someone may be staying with your animals while you're gone. Just make sure you have that in alignment, or maybe even boarding them up, whatever it may be. Another point along with that is then to make sure that if there's any sort of bills you have to pay, you get those taken care of in advance. Also, you don't want to keep your heat or your air running while you are gone, especially if it's going to be an extended vacation, because then that will limit any racking up of bills, especially if you're not home. Like, if you're not there, why have the air or the heat on? It's just going to make you have to pay more in the long run. Make sure to tell the Postal Service to hold your mail or freeze your mail while you are gone. That way it doesn't start piling up and then they end up getting upset with you because your mailbox is just a mess now. Or, in turn to that, make sure you have someone who's going to come and grab your mail, someone you trust, and just have them hold it for you. I would go with the first option. Just tell the U.S. Postal Service just to hold your mail for a while. Another one to do, this is specifically 24 hours before you go, is make sure you check in for your flight. Sometimes it is fun to go to the desk at the airport and check in for your flight, but also there's a lot of ease to make sure you get the seat you want, especially if you maybe have a short layover, to do it 24 hours in advance and take that stress away from you while you are there. Also, another bright side to this is you can technically book your seat usually further in advance, weeks in advance if you'd like, but that usually has a fee along with it, so it's a lot nicer if you kind of track that as time goes on and make sure that you can pick a seat you want, but also for free. Another one that I really like to do is to make sure to practice pack before I go. Now, the reason I do this is I'd hate to be maybe the morning of or the night before, and I'm putting together all these items that I have for my flight and for my upcoming vacation, and all of a sudden it doesn't fit into the bag that I plan to put it in, and I have no other bags around, none that are good enough, and then I'm stuck. So I like to make sure at least a week in advance, put a little practice pack together, make sure everything I need can fit into that backpack, and then that way when you get to the day before or the morning of, depending on when your flight is, you can put it all into the backpack or suitcase or whatever it may be, and then you're good to go. Another big one that I like is to make sure that you have the way you get to the hotel planned or whatever accommodation that you're using. And this can be done by booking a train, this could be done by booking a taxi, this could be done by booking a car service, someone to come pick you up, or it could be just making sure that you have maps in advance. That way you know how to get from where you are, whether it be the airport, a train station, wherever it is, to get to your accommodation. This kind of goes with that further point of making sure your reservation is taken care of. because sometimes they like to know the time you're going to arrive to that hotel so they can have someone there to check you in. And so if you have this already set up, whether it be a taxi or a train, then at least that you can get to that accommodation on the time you said you would get there. And that way you don't upset the people, the staff at the hotel, the hostel, the Airbnb. And I know I kind of mentioned this earlier, but also not only printing out your hotel reservations or bookings you have with tours, but also making sure to print out a copy of your passport. Please make sure you do this. It is very important, because if someone, God forbid, happens to take your passport, you happen to lose your passport, you lock it into the lockbox at the hotel, now you have a copy. I would hate to see you get stuck wherever it is that you're at because you can't get home because you lost your passport. It is a stress that does not need to happen. Now those are my big tips for stuff to do before you leave. Let me know in the comments if there's any other things that I missed that you find are really important or really helpful for you when you were traveling. Also, please like and subscribe. I'll be posting multiple videos in the future. I've mentioned this before in my last video that I have a really big trip coming up very shortly, and I'm hoping to update with vlogs and all that type of stuff as we return from that trip. So that's all I got for you. Please enjoy the rest of your day and have a good one.